Check the qualifications of your white boss. He has got no single qualification. Yet that Afrikaner, that time you've got a degree, that Afrikaner just walks like he's owning the earth. This world belongs to him. When you check, why is he being arrogant like this? He's a farmer. When they say he's a farmer, they mean he owns the land. I came here not to please anyone. I'm here to speak the truth, whether you like it or not. It's your own baby to feed, Malta Bella. I'm not in the business of going around to please people.
Floyd, there are cameras here, please. Please. I'll be speaking here and you'll be reading a newspaper.
So, for Julius, he should tread carefully than Jacob Zuma, because people are not that forgiving to him. You understand? People, South Africans, icon. One thing I've noticed.
If you so wish, I decide how I'm going to perform it. It's none of your business. You have no business with how EFF conducts its business. As long as it's lawful and it doesn't violate any law, where do you come in? I did not need anyone to tell me about Winnie Mandela. The people of South Africa stood up in salutation. And you must go and ask how Rupert speaks to your ministers. You can't try that with me. A white man. I don't care if you've got money or you don't have. I used to have a white mentor in Polokwane called Jimmy Contompelitos or something. One day he spoke to me in a bad way in a meeting. I said, you must never try that. He thought I was joking. I stood up. I said, no. No white man speaks to me like that. You don't do that. Don't do it. You are a bad lawyer, Shem. It goes without saying. You are a bad lawyer. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, I've worn it before. I don't wear it now. I make no apology about it. I don't buy it with VBS money. I bought Louis Vuitton and Gucci before VBS.
Politically incorrect. Now let me tell you why I love Julius Malema. So I call Julius Malema the best politician of our time. And when I say our time, of course I deliberately chose that word carefully because because I understand it's not only my time, it's really our time. If you're not included in this, it's okay, I understand. But that's how I regard Julius Malema as one of the best politicians of our time. And I've said, if you follow our podcast, you'd hear me saying a lot of EFF is the best political party in South Africa. And I count it for many reasons why it is. So I've gathered 10 points. 10 points that make Julius Malema, why I love Julius Malema, and the 10 moments, the 10 moments that make me love Julius Malema. But what I've done also is, I don't want to do this and then come and do the rest and come and do another video where I'm talking about I've just decided, let me combine this, but I'll start with what I like about Julius Malema. So this is in no particular order. This is in no particular order. At any order, you can just put your number one. But at the end, please just tell me which of the points do you agree with me on. And then, of course, you can come and query. And if I've got other things to include, I'll just include them there. I'll just cut the videos and include them there. Let's go. So the first one that appears on top, of course, is the speech of Winnie Mandela, and it was followed by a beautiful rendition of almost authentic Mazwai's Did You Forget Who who birthed you. So Nislibele is a great song of heroes and heroines of South Africa, and Thandiswa sang it at the most important time, at the funeral of the best stalwart, the female stalwart that we have in Africa. By the way, so those who don't know, I regard her as the number 2 after the Railroad Queen. But let's cut and then we'll come back from there. Thank you.
Mama, some of those who sold out to the regime are here. And what is funny, Mama, is that they are crying the loudest, more than all of us who cared for you. Mama, the UDF cabal is here. The cabal that rejected you and disowned you and sent you to the brutal apartheid regime is here. When they called the press conference during the dark days of apartheid, when they called the press conference, when the regime was prepared to kill, and said in that press conference, you are not part of them, they are here today. Mama, why did the UDF call a press conference to disassociate themselves from you? Because you were never a member of UDF. You were a member of the ANC. You were the only one who was pronouncing ANC in the 80s. Why did the UDF see the need to disassociate themselves with a person who was not their member? Mama, you never told me how we must treat them when they come here. I'm waiting for a signal, ma. Mama, Nomzamo, Mama Nomzamo, all those who resigned from the NEC of the Women's League because they said they cannot be led by a criminal, they are here. Some of them are playing prominent roles in your funeral. In a funeral of a person they called a criminal. In a funeral of a person they were ready to humiliate in front of the whole world. They are here, Ma, I'm waiting for a signal on how we should treat them. Mama, the same people who shocked us by not allowing you to pay tribute to the late Peter Mokaba at his funeral, despite the fact that you molded his politics in the South African Youth Congress and the ANC Youth League, they are here. They prevented you from addressing Peter Mokaba's funeral, despite the fact that you were the president of the Women's League and the Women's League was on the program. And our cries as the youth activists for you to speak fell on deaf ears. Life is so unfair, Ma, because we see these people amongst us here today. We don't know what to do because we don't want to be accused of being insensitive and disrespecting your dignified funeral. We mention some of these few incidences just to make them aware. We mention these incidences, few incidences, just to make them aware that we know what they did to you. They must never think we've forgotten what they did to you. We see you in your beautiful suits, betrayals, sellouts. We see you.
So I don't want to go back to that. So Malema, and you see, I just featured this one. Malema goes to the NPA. He pauses out. 2024 has by far been the worst year for Julius Malema in his personal in his person, and of course, politically. He has lost a lot. In fact, he has even lost weight. He has lost dignity. A lot of people, in 2024, especially at the end of 2024, they have been making a trend of even going back to Julius Malema's feed, digging old videos of Julius Malema, showing you where he flip-flopped. Of course, I'm going to tell you more about flip-flopping at the end, where Julius Malema flip-flopped, or Julius Malema went off a tangent. They're talking about those times during the time that we had flu, where he was saying, let's do this thing here. No, they do it here. Let's do this thing here, about foreign nationals, about when he was talking bad against Traore and stuff. So it was very bad for him. And for him to go to the NPA, his main speech, he poured his heart out. I felt that he poured his heart out. He was on political theories, talking Marxism, Leninism there. He cried. I mean, people ridiculed him for that. But this was one of my proudest moments of Julius Malema, to say he's human. He makes mistakes. Of course, it is very difficult for him to admit that he's human. He makes mistakes, but that is the number two most important moment for me, for Julius Malema.
It is my grandmother's guiding wisdom that kept me going. She is the one who named me a soldier. And as a result, I've become a soldier of the people. Her solid courage motivates to remain committed to this movement and to the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. I honor her memory and strive never to disappoint her, even as she watches over me from heaven. For this reason, I will never abandon this movement. She entrusted me with the role of being a father figure and a parent to the destitute and forgotten masses of our people. I extend my appreciation to my family, my children, and all my extended family and friends who suffered the consequences of my activism. They experience the same pressure as I do due to our actions as an organization, yet they've stood behind me without fail. Their firm support is a testament to me that it is possible for black people to build strong families and place love at the center of their lives. I love them, and most importantly, thank them for their patience with me and for their role in this revolution. Special thanks to my wife, who has tolerated my nonsense for the past 10 years, as we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary on the 27th of December.
Julius Malema goes to a campaign, and I'm not sure about this. Please advise me on. Julius Malema goes on a campaign. He recruits pilots. He puts them to, I think they come from Seshego. I'm not sure. Seshego is where Julius Malema comes from. I'm not sure about any of this. So he does that, and then he pushes the campaign through the cadet system until these guys are done with being a pilot. And being a pilot, it's one of those pipe dreams that we never get to see people reliving. And what I liked about Julius is he has done this, and he has never milked that opportunity to an extent that he exposes those pilots, those young pilots who the EFF has trained. Well, I would say trained or by another organization, but I'll give credit to the EFF for doing that. And it's one of those things where political parties show that if they put a mind to something, they could actually achieve something. So that pilot dream was number one for me. Yeah.
have as the EFF, we share it with those who do not have. No political party in South Africa, not a single one, has built more houses from its coffers for the poor than the EFF. Not even the ANC. We're not talking government, a political party. No single political party has sent so many kids to school, than the EFF. So when you give to the EFF, you must know you are giving to a party that shares with the poor of the poorest. South Africans, you must ask yourself a question. Why, when I give my 10 rand to the EFF, it's a concern of another person? Because when they donate to their parties, you never say anything yourself. Ramaphosa sells tables every year in the dinner before the January 8th of the ANC. We have never seen such amount of noise. It is not about the money. It's about stopping the revolution, because if you finance the EFF, you are financing the revolution.
You are a small boy. You can't do anything. This is when a lot of people started knowing Julius. We who knew Julius long time ago were not surprised. I was glad that Julius Malema has done that, and people don't understand. So, and people would also say, Amashan, when you're a media person, why would you be glad for Julius treating that journalist like that? I think one of the things that we forget is Julius Malema is a proud African man. It may not happen to you. Julius Malema is a proud African man, and to be disrespected while he's giving his press briefing. After the press briefing, the people who were there, they will have an opportunity to ask questions, but he was being interrupted and disrespected, and Julius Malema, he blew off. He lost it. And when people, I forgave Julius Malema for losing it, but what he did not only do it for himself, but he did it for other people. So if you're not African, you may not understand the subjugation that African people would feel being hated by white people and being subjected to ridicule, be a subject of ridicule and stuff. And if you do not understand, go and look in that era what Deborah Patta has done to Julius Malema. Deborah Patta has tried in all her career to make Julius Malema look stupid. And this is why most of us, of course myself included, I applaud Julius Malema for fighting back against that BBC journalist who disrespected Julius Malema when he was delivering his Zimbabwe analogy. But that's just me. I hope you saw it.
There's nothing certain in Zimbabwe. There's everything about the Zimbabweans. Let them go back and go and fight there. Even when the ANC was underground in exile, we had our internal underground forces fighting for freedom. And we have never spoken from exile. You see, let me tell you, before you are Chacharachne, let me tell you, this is a building of a revolutionary party, and you know nothing about the revolution. So here you behave or else you jump. Here you don't laugh. Chief, can you get security to remove this thing? If you're not going to behave, you're going to call security to take you out. This is not a newsroom. This is a revolutionary house, and you don't come here with that tendency. Don't come here with that white tendency. Not yet. You can do it somewhere else. Not yet. If you've got a tendency of undermining blacks even where you work, you are in the wrong place. Here you are in the wrong place.
That's rubbish.
And you can go out.
That's absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, you can go out. Rubbish is what you have covered in that trouser. That is rubbish. That which you have covered in this trouser is rubbish. Okay? You are a small boy. You can't do anything.
I didn't come here to be
Come
insulted.
out. Go out. Bastard. Go out. You bloody agent. So,
There's this speech where Julius Malema was speaking when he was still a youth leader. There was Kgalema and Mama Winnie in attendance, and he spoke about a lot of things about the ANC, what the ANC taught him. And among these difficult things was the fact that the ANC taught Julius Malema that who are the colonizers? These people are the colonizers. What Julius was saying is, it's not me who came up with this word colonizer. It's you who taught me these people are colonizers, they stole our land, and these white people, they are the enemies of us because they stole our land. That was quite telling for Julius Malema, and those are my best moments of Julius Malema, because what he has done with that is to say, don't forget who our strategic enemy is, because now it's convenient, because you would understand. I don't think he does it now. You would understand that at the time the ANC had already been in bed with white monopoly capital. They are receiving money. In fact, all these big political parties are receiving money from that. So it's very difficult to say white monopoly capital is a strategic enemy of this leftist organization. But that was very telling.
They told us that colonizers stole the land. It's them who told us. We get this from all these leaders of the ANC. Today they are in government. Of course, we understand they may try to be diplomatic. But you taught us that colonizers stole the land. And when you steal, you commit a criminal activity. And once you commit a criminal activity, you are a criminal. You must be treated as such. That's what we learned from them. They can disassociate with it today. We understand. They must be honorable in approach. But we don't have that responsibility. It's their responsibility. We say it the way it is. They must come and polish it. So that as long as the product is the same, we have no problem.
The JC interviews where Julius Malema stands for blackness. So he interrogates judges. He tells them and also gives them examples of what they are and how can he trust them if they are not as transformed as Julius Malema would want them to be. And he asks them questions. That particular era, those interviews are one of my top moments for Julius Malema. Thank you.
For starters, after waiting for such a long time, you must understand that that can affect the performance of a candidate. It's not that I am unprepared, because as you can see, I brought work with me. I have prepared. I have read the prescripts and the legislation, and I've read the judgments, some of the judgments that are relevant. It's just that probably because it's nerve-wracking after the long wait, and I don't want that to be taken as an excuse, because it's not supposed to be used as an excuse.
No, but you are asked a simple question. In a situation where a court finds that there is serious irregularities, what will the court do? You go and open a book. That is something that you should have prepared. If you want to come to this court, you should know that what you basically deal with is serious irregularities. What do you do in that case? You ask for the indulgence of the chairperson to open the act.
Racism I'm sorry, please.
Oh, but you're trained by apartheid mechanism, trained institutions.
You know what?
A court where we're actually struggling even to get people. If we appoint you and you go on retirement, it's almost going back to square one. So, in all fairness, and we are going, if we recommend you, we are going to recommend you now, it's April. We don't know when the president is going to appoint you. He takes his own time.
Julius with the judiciary. There's a time where Julius Malema attended a court case. I'll try to find that video. He attended a court case. It was up and down, up and down. Julius Malema gets to the podium. It reminds me of the Tupac Shakur scenario where he was telling the judge or magistrate, I don't know in America what they do, to say my fate is in your hands. So this time Julius Malema says, this judge, who's a white lady, keeps coming late, keeps disrespectfully delaying court cases. He does it, and Julius Malema loses it. That particular time, Julius Malema makes sure that whatever she's doing, she doesn't do it again. And I loved Julius Malema for doing that. And it reminds me of another one. Let me see.
We've been here for 5 years. She never aided in this court. And no one has ever written an article about that. She's not above the law. She's not the law. She has a duty to respect us. This is unacceptable. We have 2 hours today. If anything, we should have started here on time. Justice must never be delayed. Never. This is an absolute rubbish we must never stand for. If it means prison, let it be prison. But no one must disrespect us like that. No one. No magistrate, no prosecutor must disrespect us like that, and then we keep quiet. She has never been early to any court. She says, comes at 12, we come at 12, she's never here. She's never here. We must not talk because we're scared to go to jail or being disrespected. It can't be. We have rights, and our rights must be respected. It's a load shedding. We're starting at 11. It doesn't matter what time you start. You start at 1, you start at 2. She's going to be late. And then no one must talk about it. 5 years we've been here. She has never been on time. No journalist has ever written about that. Not a single journalist has ever spoken about her ill discipline of coming late to court. Coming late to court, we must keep quiet. 2 hours today. If anything, we should have been here, all of us on time, because we don't have time. There's load shedding. They said to us, be here 2 hours today. We have lost the whole day, 2 hours. Now it's gone, it's 1 hour. She's still not here. I'm not that type to keep quiet when nonsense happens. Nonsense is nonsense. I don't care who's doing it, whether a judge or a magistrate. It's absolute rubbish. It's unacceptable. We've been too quiet for 5 years. We've been subjected to this nonsense of disrespect. Can't be disrespected like that.
Malema confronts police in Tembisa, and I'll tell you why I like it. He was with Ndlozi. There was still a huge bromance between the two. He goes with Ndlozi. They are in the thick of things. There's a community meeting, and it escalates, and the police come. Instead of the police being fair, they took a side, and Julius Malema thought they are not taking a side, and they were challenging each other. And so let me tell you why people hate Julius Malema. Those who hate him. Julius Malema goes there, he challenges authority, and he speaks. So what Julius Malema was doing there, he was doing what an ordinary branch member, an ordinary ward councillor should be doing. to sit there with the police, whether it's a commissioner, whether it's a captain, whether it's a colonel, to sit there with him to argue their case on community issues. And Julius Malema took off his rank as a commissar. He stood firm, he spoke with those guys to say, no, you are wrong. And they were challenging each other. And people may not understand. The only problem there is, of course, it was on camera and people could see. But in closed doors, this is where engagements must be like. Because this thing of allowing authorities to determine things, even if they are wrong, and we cannot confront them because we are afraid of authorities, one of the reasons South Africa is in such a mess. But I like Julius Malema for doing that in Tembisa.
Are taking our people in the hostel. They are coming to open a case.
What we are saying, we say you must apply a march.
Hey, but how do I apply a march when I'm being attacked? How do I apply for a march when I'm being attacked? I'm being attacked now. What are you talking about?
No,
I'm being attacked now. And we are not doing anything about it. We come here to tell you that we are being attacked. You tell us to apply for permission. That we are being attacked. You are unreasonable.
It's the law.
No, there's no law like that. That's a nonsense law. That's a nonsense law. That's a nonsense law. No law like It's no law like that. That's a nonsense law. That's a nonsense law.
You must apply.
No, we're not going to apply for anything.
There's no law like that. There's no law like that.
Yes, sir. Go and arrest people who are killing people outside there.
Why do you tell us?
Yes, we know the law, man. We make the law. We make the law. Which law? Yes, yes. What law are you talking about? What law are you talking about? We are being attacked there. You don't do anything. You come here in the comfort of your shed there. You tell us we must apply. You don't know what we went through now. You don't know what we went through now. You don't know what we went through now.
No, fine. Mr. Malema.
You don't know what we went through. You tell us to apply when we are being killed. When our people are being killed.
I have said many times on the podcast that Julius Malema and the EFF have been rendered an agony aunt, a cisdoli kind of aunt. So if you don't know what an agony aunt in our times, during magazines and newspapers, so print media, we would read it. There was a column, a section where people would ventilate their issues. You know, people would tell the editor or whoever is designated for their problems, and they would intervene. So Julius Malema almost became that. He was, in fact, he's still regarded as that. Whenever people have problems, whether it's at work, whether it's in communities, when it's racism, people will say, this one belongs to Julius Malema. This one we are going to call the EFF on these people. They will go and call the EFF to come and intervene. Afterwards, the very same people, they don't even belong to the EFF. They go and vote someone else. But they only remember EFF during problematic times. And this is what I told Operation Dudula to say, Operation Dudula, you might do what people like. As we speak now, it's student registration in South Africa. Operation Dudula people are all over schools trying to make sure that people, South Africans, are prioritized and they do not lack, the kids are not sitting at home while foreigners are sitting. And I asked the Operation Dudula guy to say, you do understand that you run a risk of being like the EFF, where people do not want to vote you, but they only want you to come and solve a particular problem in a community. And once you are done with it, and then they let go of you. Look at how the community of Atteridgeville, Salisbury has done to Patriotic Alliance whenever there was an SGB guy from Zimbabwe. They allowed that guy to come and operate. and they took him out. The community allowed him, but whenever there was a problem, they helped. Dudula and Patriotic Alliance came to remove him because they did not like Zimbabwe being chairperson of the SGB. But I'm just giving you an example of where the EFF would go. But then Julius Malema stood firm, and I'm very proud of that. He stood firm and said, no more. If someone needs help, we are going to check you, we're going to vet you to say, who are you? Do you do you belong? What this community? Are you guys voting for the EFF? What's your relationship with the EFF? Is that community voting the EFF positively in wherever you are before we come and assist you? And I think that was a brilliant plan, and I hope they follow through with that, because what it will then do, it will make people remember that you can't keep using the EFF. It breaks my heart that the EFF is seen as someone who helps the community, but when it comes to go and vote, they vote other people. You know, there are some township communities who would vote DA and go and complain to say Musho wa Maburu, while it's them who voted for them. There will be people who will vote ANC and come and complain to the EFF that these people it's thugs, but Musho wa Magodu. They tell it to the EFF. But those people voted for those political parties. So I think Julius Malema must be wise, must only help communities and wards where he's voted into power. I think that's the best for Julius Malema, and he promised to do that. We're not sure how far he will go with it. One thing that people don't understand that I like Julius Malema for is making sure that South Africa remains relevant in the continent. And of course, for you, it's one of the things that you hate Julius Malema for. For me, it's one of his positives. Of course, when we talk about open border and stuff, I disagree with him vehemently. I fully disagree with him when he talks about open borders, because the stand that he takes, I don't. But on this one, I agree with him to this extent. Unlike most people don't actually realize that Julius Malema is not wholly liked in Africa than people think, but he keeps building this relationship. I'll give you a case in point. In Midrand, Africans came, there was a parliament, and Julius Malema tried to advance a point. Africans are not as united as you guys think. They do not want anything. The Francophone countries, they listen to France only. And I'll give an example. Now, what is happening in the Sahel region, with Niger, Burkina Faso and stuff, those countries have showed France that we can live without you. The rest of the French former colonists who are speaking French as a medium of instruction have not joined them, just to show you how much they fear and they love being French. So, but Julius Malema keeps trying, even though those people disappointed. They fought Julius Malema. They disagreed with him. I mean, you go to Kenya. In fact, African politicians hate Julius Malema. And you will not believe they hate Julius Malema. But he keeps trying to forge this relationship with them. You understand? But Julius Malema tries. It's just unfortunate that people don't appreciate him like he should be for trying to forge unity between African countries. Thank you.
Now, I represent a non-racial organization, but we do not fight for white people. Why? Why should we fight for them? What do you want? What do they want? When you say you are fighting for all in South Africa, black and white, what do white people want? Except to want to remain in a position of privilege. That's what they want. They want to remain in a position of privilege, and we are rejecting that. There is no white person who's going to remain in a position of privilege. We must all be equal. And in bringing the equality, we have to take deliberate decisions to empower the less privileged to be at the same level with those who are privileged.
We want one Africa, one president, one parliament, one military command center, one currency that will be based on our minerals as the African continent. Ourselves and Zimbabwe alone account for not less than 85% of the world platinum. Imagine we become one thing and we hold our platinum and say we're determining the price now, like they do with the oil, those who have the oils, the Arabs and all of that.
Although their oil is based on dollar, but they are benefiting out of it, and they've developed their countries based on their natural resources. So we need one Africa, and we must speak in one voice. That's how the Security Council is going to respect us. That's how China is going to respect us. How can Swaziland go and negotiate with China and say we are equal to China? Swaziland, Lesotho, Botswana, on the base of what? Size matters in politics, and the more we come together, the more the world will respect us. That structure has been there for quite some time, and the world has evolved over a period of time. And if that is the case, to have these guys who are permanent members of the Security Council because of what happened post the World War II, but there's been this huge development which include decolonization of Africa and doing away with apartheid and liberation of African countries. So when that Security Council was formed in that way, we were under these people who are in the Security Council. Now we are on our own. Why can't we get ourselves a permanent seat in the Security Council? But no one must have the veto powers. It must be a decision of the majority. That's how democracy works.
The lowest point. So if you are waiting this far to listen to the lowest points, let's go ahead. The first one is, and I was very disappointed with the stance of EFF. There was a point where they were opposing bicycle lanes, and the merits of accusing it might be correct, because they were afraid of tenders and because they got a hint that this thing is going to be given to blah blah blah. It doesn't matter because I don't even know the merits. My problem was Julius Malema did a press conference and criticized bicycle lanes, saying those things are only helpful for whites. I felt so disappointed. You know, a bicycle lane, I'm always thinking, cities that have bicycle lanes, do you know how important that thing is? The cost of traversing between work and somewhere could be cut by a lot, and it's healthy. It's less traffic congestion. It's a lot of things. Bicycle lanes are very important according to me. But the way Julius Malema shot it down in the city of Johannesburg to say no, that thing is not important because it's for whites, it stands out for me as one of the things that I was disappointed with as a low moment for Julius Malema. Floyd said it, and I've said it even before Floyd said it. Julius Malema gets into his politics of body shaming people, calling people drunkards, calling people druggies. Recently, Ntsugi Mazwai has just requested, of course, Ntsugi Mazwai, the fighters are saying Ntsugi Mazwai herself has called EFF non-thinkers. They are brainless, and the fighters were fighting back. So I'm not defending anyone there. I'm just saying, I'm giving an example where Julius Malema is accused and is seen by many to be body shaming people, and a case in point is the one about and people were using it during Paul Mashetile's ill health. Paul Mashatile collapsed and the EFF released a statement, and people were saying how you were playing with this man, saying you can see the way he walks, he looks like he's sick, and that was Julius Malema. So it's just one of my low points of Julius Malema.
When you look at how Paul Mashatile walks, they are sick. Old age. Some of the symptoms of old age is sickness. So we can't entrust old people with the future which they will not be there. They won't be there.
He said to a lady within the EFF who was requesting assistance for having not deployed, the lady is called Raisive. I did a podcast with her. he said to her, and of course this is based on what she says, I am not sure, but I'm going to go with the belief that he did say so. So Malema says to the lady, you think I can dine with someone who's like you? So this lady, in short, was asking for Julius Malema to intervene because she's been jumped for, am I using the right word? She has been overlooked for deployment into a municipality, or I think it was a municipality, not a legislature, any of the two. So, and Julius Malema kept on ignoring her, and she tried her best. But I'll let you listen to her. Thank you.
Of my life, he said, I would rather die. Imagine, I'm pleading, I'm crying,
Was
I'm
it in
in
a
pain.
WhatsApp? Yes, you can dish them up. Yes, yes. You wanna explain the place for us? Okay, Raloboga.
No, thank you, food. So,
Yes.
when I told him, I've been complaining about those corruption that was happening in the region and everything, he said to me, I would rather die than to dine on the same table with the opportunist of the highest order.
Wait, so that response, was it given in an email?
In an email, I still have it in my phone. He said, I would rather die. Oh my God, I felt like I was dying.
Flip-flopping has been one of Julius Malema's problems, and politicians do flip-flop. And the reason I want you to understand this, the reason it's on my list, is because whenever he flip-flops, at some point, he doesn't, and then I understand that flip-flopping, all politicians do it. Whenever he flip-flops, he doesn't acknowledge the fact that he used to take this position, and he doesn't bring in people into confidence that I used to think this, but when new information came, and then I started thinking this way, and I changed my mind. And I know someone would say, Abashan, but that's not his role. I'm also just giving an example of how I think Julius Malema could do things, and as a flip-flopper of note, is accused of that. I feel Julius Malema does not take people into confidence of why he does things like that, because I don't think there's a problem with people who are flip-flopping. It's just that when he flip-flops, he takes a stance that looks as if he doesn't acknowledge the past that he has actually stood on a point.
The Pando was also in the VBS bond or something, which she was there. They are your darlings. You will never know their names. You know the names of those you don't like, to demonstrate there's no principle.
Many people in the social media believed what he said and made comments about me, which were in line with the lie that he had uttered. So I'm glad that his lawyers on his behalf have cleared it up. I will discuss with our lawyers. I believe he has defamed me, but is it worth pursuing given, the character?
And then on Mamana Lady Shemai, I was making a political engagement in that interview. It's a political speech. It's a political speak. And I raised her name, and she clarified those things, that she has never been involved in those things and all of that. And she wrote a letter to me to ask for instruction and all of that. And I said, look, it's a political engagement. I respect you so much, and I've accepted the explanation you have given, and I don't intend to pursue that line, because now there is more clarity on what really transpired. And I've sent that letter, and I don't want to engage with her in a public spect. It's one of the respectable former ministers of our country who's at the forefront of fighting the struggles for the total liberation of Palestine. Why do you want to go into confrontation with such a person? So I did not say that to want to negatively impact on her image or anything. I was engaged in a political engagement. And she came back and said, no, but you are wrong.
There was a time, and I watched that podcast in full, where Penuel speaks about Julius Malema and Elon Musk. Penuel wasn't meaning anything bad. Penuel was just speaking about how Julius and Elon Musk should speak, should engage each other, so this thing does not become messy, because he believed they can talk to each other, they can reach out, because Elon Musk was lied to about conditions in South Africa, and Julius Malema attacked Elon, and Penuel, poor Penuel, was attacked by Julius Malema. He was saying these podcasters, there's only one podcaster in South Africa, and we caught strays there. He attacked Penuel for no apparent reason, and he mocked him. He said all these other podcasters are just taking chances. And then, of course, afterwards he went to the People's Assembly. I don't know if I'm calling it the Cadres Assembly in Orlando, just after Floyd had left, and he spoke about how important that the fighters must engage podcasters, media personnel, and I felt that, I know Julius Malema gets into a vibe of politicking, and sometimes then he changes tune. He goes there and says these people must be negotiating, and I find it very strange for Julius Malema to have done that. And even further, lately he's attacking Sizwe Mpofu Walsh. He's attacking Sizwe because he calls it an MK podcast. And of course, now I'm called MK podcast. Other people call me EFF podcast, because they say I'm obsessed with these political parties, and I keep telling them that in the majority I'll do these 3 political parties, PA organizations, and I do a lot on DA, by the way. But I will do the most about this, because these are the topics that are always in the media, and these are the topics that I'm always engaged on, and I love the 3 SPA organizations, and I'm not going to hide it. I love them because I'm an African person. Those are the hopes of African people, even though, of course, they betray us. But for what it's worth, that's it. So, but I want to tell you, Sizwe Mpofu Walsh could be, I have not asked him, but I speak a lot with EFF people from different levels. I speak a lot with them, and I keep telling them that do you know, the more you refuse to come to my podcast, you do not want to send someone to the podcast, and you don't want to say no, you keep dilly-dallying. A lot of people, you are deliberately painting me as someone who hates the EFF. You always do not want to come to my podcast when I invite you. And there's a lot of them that I invite to the podcast. They do not want to come. Well, they don't say no, they just keep dallying. And I did a podcast talking specifically about that, to say what they are doing, they are going to make me look like Sizwe Mpofu Walsh. Because they're not coming, and when MK people come and sit there, then they will say, you see, that's a MK channel. And I'm not saying they are not welcome to go to Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, but they took a stand that Sizwe Mpofu Walsh is an MK channel. They are not going, and I'm not sure if they've done the same with me, but I'm just telling you the struggle that I have with MK people, and I can tell you many names, but I don't think it's fair. Once they are here, I'll talk to them about it. Various attempts. When I'm saying various, I'm talking about more than 5 times requesting one person. He keeps dilly-dallying, and even though I do pour my heart out to say, guys, but what you're doing is unfair. It's really unfair, but look, I do understand that I can't force them. It's a narrative that they want to draw. If they want, the EFF wants to say, okay, it's fine, let's check him out, he better looks like an MK, or he better looks like an because if they don't want to come, it means I'll be doing more content of other people then you guys are gonna see me as someone who's wrong. So this is the part I say I was disappointed with Julius Malema for having characterized Sizwe Mpofu Walsh and attacked Penwell.
I saw some McG wannabe, one of these podcast people who failed with a very low followers, for so his relatives only that are following him. He says, I must educate Elon Musk. What is that? No, the one of Twitter. Elon Musk. I must educate Elon Musk. Why must I educate Elon Musk? He looks like an illiterate. The only thing that protects him is his white skin. Elon Musk wants to learn about this song. The records are there in court. Let him go and read the judgment. Let him go and listen to my arguments in court. I argued successfully and paralyzed the grandchild of Oppenheimer and said to him, if I were AfriForum, I was going to fire you from this case. When they did an appeal, they fired him.
Another criticism I have of Julius is the aloofness, this political aloofness. And I'm not, because I'm never a big political player. I was never in national structure where I understand how people interact with their national president and stuff. I first picked it up after Floyd left, when Julius confidently spoke of how Manyi tried to get hold of him. Manyi tried to say goodbye to Malema, but Malema could not give him the chance. And one of the problems that Julius had, excuse me, one of the problems Julius had was he already knew what Manyi wanted to say. So he kept delaying Manyi so he doesn't see him. And he did the same. And he spoke, that's Julius Malema speaking. He did the same with Dalimpofu. And he kept saying, okay, no, talk to the Secretary General. That's Marshal Dlamini. Talk to him. Whenever Jimmy Manyi came, they talked to him because he kept on delaying him. So someone would say, well, he was playing politics because these people have been doing this. I find that as a bit of aloofness. And this aloofness, I'll tell you why I relate to the reason why he says he blames. He said he did not know that Floyd was leaving, but everyone knew. Maybe it could have been this aloofness, the distance between him and the other officials, because Floyd insists everyone but Julius knew, and those guys could have been crying. But anyway, that's just me. The aloofness, his deliberate keeping of distance between, because before then I was talking, he was friendly, he was cool with all these guys, but I realized no, it's actually more aloof than I thought it was.
Floyd, there are cameras here, please. I'll be speaking here and you'll be reading a newspaper.
So, I've said this in the past. One thing I don't understand is Julius Malema's relationship with his father. Someone might say this is private, and I'll tell you why, even though it's private, and I'm not going to get into the actual merits of the private life, but I just want to hint on this. So, let me give an example. So, I watched the biography, the documentary of Siya Kolisi. So Siya Kolisi's mom and father got separated, and the father had to go to Cape Town to go and find a better life. So he left Siya without a father and stuff. But when Siya grew up, he wanted to understand the father and stuff. And Siya never neglected his father. He kept his father, and they're still cool. And he has a relationship with him because he wanted to understand what was wrong. With Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and Julius Malema, they not only speak negative, but I feel for African fathers, they are making it more difficult. And I know there's a sketch of people not having relationship with their fathers. I just don't think they're helping the situation, and that is just me. And I'll tell you why this is important on this segment. It is the part that Julius Malema is an openly Lemba person. A Lemba is an African Jew. He's a black Jew. So I've done a podcast about Lembas where I discuss this matter, and especially of Julius. But I took a step back because, like I said, I want to respect the relationship he has with his father. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to get into the merits, even though, of course, a lot of people are speaking about his real father. But here's the thing. So Julius Malema says he's a proud Lemba. He goes to their meeting every year. He's a regular. But let me tell you, so this is the contradiction I have. So Julius Malema knows and understands that we all know that you can only be Lemba through your father. So let me repeat. You know why they call Julius Malema Moshabi? They call him Moshabi because he's Lemba. He's a black Jew. Those people have a paternal lineage of their relationship, and this. So your father is the person that makes you Lemba. So that contradiction that I'm talking about is Julius Malema saying he does not know his father, he does not want to know him, and it's a chapter that he has closed. But the problem now that we have is the fact that Julius Malema is a Mulemba, and I can't say Koko Sara is the one who made Julius Malema Lemba. I can't say his mother was the person who made him Mulemba. I don't know why Julius Malema is Lemba, but he is Lemba. You are made Lemba by your father. That's according to what I'm told by Balemba. Balemba have told me more than once in this podcast. So this is just the contradiction I have of Julius Malema, and of course the criticism of him distancing his father. And I'm not saying he must disclose his father. I'm just saying it's a contradiction in his life story of Balemba.
Yeah. Perhaps let me start with Musha. You know, I have a lot of vendor friends. One time they had me calling you Mushabi at a press briefing, so they were like, but Mushabi, give my vendors.
Yes.
How is Julius in Mushabi?
Yeah.
Do you mind educating people?
Well, Bashabi is not vendors. Bashabi is the black Jews who came from Israel, landed in Yemen, and then spread all over the world. They are found in Zimbabwe. They are found in Colonialism, in Zambia. They are found everywhere else. But because they come from Israel, everywhere else where they settle, they assume the language of those people. So because they came from the north, they ended up, majority of them, in South Africa, being in Venda. So because they are found in their majority in Venda, a lot of people assume they are vendors, but that is not the case.
Oh,
yes.
So just tell us.
So you find Bashabis in the Pedis, Bumatale, Burametsi, Bumalema. So Castle Matale, the deputy minister of police, is a Mushabi as well, but he's a Pedi speaking person.
So does that explain your close relationship?
Yes, we are relatives because as the black Jews, wherever we find each other, we embrace one another, support each other, defend each other, and share a lot of ideas together. So that's what brought us together.
So Julius attacks negative commentary. So let me tell you, I myself, I spoke about how sometimes it's difficult to agree with lots of politicians, because sometimes you could be thinking, this one does not want to do this, but you forget that a podcaster like me requests many times. People just don't want to come and to share the narrative with me, and if they don't come, you think otherwise of us. There's a gentleman called Mike Shem. He's a white dude. He I think I forgot his episode. So when I first saw most of his episode, he was interviewing lots of white people who were rightist in nature, and they were propagating politics of the right, and I've always thought of that guy as being rightist, of being very against anything that is African. But I've seen that that's his line of politics. It's of course someone like me. I'm not going to pretend that I love politics of African people. I'm African oriented and I'm African perspective. It's based on me being an African, and I think Mike Shem is the opposite of that. He believes in whiteness, and there's nothing wrong with what he does. But I had a wrong perspective of him because I thought he hates anything that's African. But what he has done is, even though he does not agree, but now African people are coming to his podcast and he's interviewing them. You see, this is what I like, because if those people did not come, I would have thought he does not invite them. I would have thought he doesn't want them. I mean, he interviewed Saul, interviewed Penwell, because he always had Mashele on his podcast, but of course, Akira Mashele doesn't mince words. He shoots everywhere. So it gave me hope to say, not everyone that you see it means is a bad thing. So the reason I'm raising this is there was a lady who was attacked by the EFF because the lady said what is this? That's Twitter, by the way. That's not EFF that's saying that. So they say the lady was attacked by EFF because she's a journalist, because she said the stadium was not full. She said the stadium was full, and the other people will say the Moses Mabhida stadium was not full, and this is where the contradiction was. But people started exposing other files of the same lady, and other people linked her with Floyd, Baro Jolale Floyd, and of course Julius Malema spoke about how other people are linked with this, and so these ladies were victims of being targeted. And at some point I felt that, I remember Julius Malema would ban other media houses, you see, and I think it's better if they ban media houses than those media houses keep requesting for something that they're not going to get, and not target a specific journalist from what they do. I love the relationship that Julius Malema has with Sam Kele. They don't fight, they just disagree with each other. The bosom relationship he has with Sidi Madia, I love that, because I want Julius to have this relationship with people. Polifan Veig, of course, Julius Malema, they don't get along. So I'm just saying, let's have this relationship, and we know where we are and stuff. And if someone is deliberately crossing the line of fair journalism, then get rid of them. But you must not come to an extent of saying everyone who criticizes the EFF or Julius Malema, you declare persona non grata. I think that's unfair, because I always say that the 3SPA organizations are my favorite. But I get people on this channel fighting me that I hate them, because the reason they're saying I hate them is because I criticize them. They must just understand that it's in my job to criticize them, and they must allow me to do that. Thank you. This is one of the reasons a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and it's those that I understand that people will disagree with me. But a gushy revolutionary is what Julius is called by his detractors, many of which have worked with him. I can name you Andy Lemkitama, I can name you Dr. Litchfield Chabalala, and of course Floyd falls within this. Julius has defended this by saying Hugo Chavez was a well-dresser who would wear nice things and stuff. Julius wears nice, by the way. The problem that I have is this conspicuous consumption from the ANC of wearing highly expensive foreign brands. Your Gucci, your Louis Vuittons, your what. it's a criticism of Julius Malema that I support. I do not think it's necessary for a revolutionary to do that. I do not think it's important. I don't see how that benefits people. I don't see how that advances the struggle of African people. I don't see how that is revolutionary. There's nothing revolutionary about wearing Gucci and stuff. And I know people wear them, and I know people hate it when we see that. It's just a different perspective. People have criticized Julius Malema for wearing that because they say for a person like him to be wearing those things. And I see, and the reason I say the conspicuous consumption of the ANC is precisely because of that. It's because a lot of people in the ANC have been wearing that, and it's a culture stemming from the ANC. So I just want to tell you that this is why I disagree with Julius. I mean, there are a lot of things that he can do. And my next point, of course, speaks about how instead of doing that, he can opt to do something better in terms of a voting bloc. So this is my 10th point. I think Julius Malema can advance the cause of African people. And I don't know any specific reason why Julius should or how he must start this. But my criticism of him is he would openly wear international brands. And I'm not saying he does not wear local. Don't get me wrong. But it shows us a positive of a voting bloc. He amasses a lot of influence. Do you remember when Jackson Mthembu went, don't buy City Press, don't buy. Don't buy City Press, don't buy. It was an example of Africans, when they are disappointed with someone, they take a united stand. But it didn't work, of course, because I don't think they were serious. And this is the politics of Julius Malema that, in all his 11 years within, over 11 years within the EFF, he has not shown us the power of a voting bloc, whether in support or in boycott. For example, you could say, I'm giving you an example. There's a ZZ2 company of tomatoes in Limpopo. That company employs a lot of African people. Of course, it's a white person's company. I'm just giving you an example. If that what company has done good things in Limpopo province with either Penny or Julius Malema, because I know that guy funds well, and they say, no, I think you have done a lot. So what is it that we can do? We could also buy from, I'm just saying, because I think he's a wholesaler, but I'm just giving an example to say, people of South Africa, let's support ZZ2. Let's support his business. Let's support the way he does things. Let's support this and that. Maybe to make him grow. And of course, if someone is wrong, let's go against that person. If an organization, remember when they went to, I don't know if it was H&M, yeah, it was H&M, and there was a Clicks as well, to say, as a voting bloc, African people, let us in our majority stop going to that shop. Rally all of us behind it. And I know a lot of people would then go there just to spite them. So African parties, in particular, MK, ANC, and EFF, they've got a very big voting bloc. Can you imagine if they advance a policy where if an organization does something wrong, as African people we are united of not buying that thing, of not supporting that business, and they push it around. I remember there's a Cakes for Africa in east of Pretoria. At some point, it got racialized by the way it treated African people, and I remember people wanted me to join that campaign and stuff, and we understood, and those people are racist. And to think that that organization was supported a lot by African people, and it treated African people like that, it made me sad. And by the time I was living around Silverton at the time, and we could not have enough muscle and enough political influence to tell people this story so they know when they buy at this organization, what they are buying is they are supporting people who hate Africans. I'm just giving an example of the power that they have that they could use. But of course, I'm not saying they are not trying, but they're not trying enough, and they're not making it useful, and they're not making it fashionable. So people must be afraid of offending African people. Because once they start, because they can do it anyway, because there's no consequence. There's nothing that will happen to a racist organization and racist companies run by white people. Because a lot of companies are sitting on black majority clients, because we are the majority. Machine Political Incorrect, tell me what you think about this. So this is my top 10 of Julius Malema, the top 10 of what I hate and the top 10 of what I love. And of course, the mixture includes EFF, of course, because I mean it's very difficult to distance Malema from the EFF. Thank you very much.
Police didn't go to clicks, but when we are here to respond to clicks, but abakiti mamoka boots jaunka, mapolisa aretse borobanyakamu. Police must go and arrest real criminals and rapists out there. But the criminals, about the criminal, but but dignity of black people.